Hello and welcome. I'm Elaine Canyon, sweetly writing happily ever after, one book at a time. In this video, we're going to continue our interview with Kathryn McClatchy as she talks about self-publishing on a shoestring budget, specifically in the marketing. And in the first video, we talked a lot and focused a lot on how important it is to get your author platform set up long before you're ready to publish and making sure that you have everything set in that realm. And then in this video, we're going to talk about what do you do next? After you've got that book out and you've got that following built, what are your next steps? So let's jump right into this part of the interview. Awesome. Well, let's shift a little bit. And so we
Okay.
talked about what to do before you launch and making sure that everything is set and you've got that platform. So what can we do after we've got we've got our handles, we've got our website. So what can we do at that point where we're starting to build that little following? So essentially kind of where I am right now, where I've got that following, I've
Mhm.
got things to bring people in. What's that next step?
Okay. So we talked about lead generation, lead nurturing, and lead conversion. These are marketing terms that you need to be aware of. Um, so once you have your audience growing, you need to understand that lead generation, building your audience, is an ongoing thing as long as you have a backlist you're still trying to sell. Don't ever stop trying to find new audience. But I would, once you get that core group, you need to treat them like your VIP best friends forever, because that email group and the blog list are your most valuable resources. Period. End of story. They are the ones you then want to change from being an interested lead to an active lead to an evangelist, because ideally you want them to be marketing your book, right? So it's much easier to take care of a core group of 100 sold out fans than it is to try to win the whole internet, right? So once you get that core group, you take care of them. They get all your best stuff. If you're going to run a contest, you start it with them. You let them know that you adore them, you respect them, you appreciate them, you are grateful to them. I get really frustrated when people throw out a freebie, buy the first book of the series. As a giveaway, hoping they'll buy the others. What the statistics show is that you get a bunch of people that download your freebies that never bother read it, and they certainly aren't reviewing it, right? So if you're going to give anything away, give it to the people who have already said, here's my email, contact me anytime. Those are the folks you want to take care of. Offer them a freebie. Maybe do a thing where those of you who review my book, we'll have a special Zoom call just for y'all. Bring your wine or drink a beverage, and we're going to have our own launch party. And thank you so much. And then maybe do drawings out of that little group, where you do some cool giveaways. But you really have to build a reputation of taking care of your true fans, because they're the ones who are going to take care of you over the long haul. So that's my biggest piece of advice. Stop trying to win the internet and take care of your core group, because there's arguments, the 1,000 true fan theory. There's arguments for and against that. In my experience, and I started in marketing back in the 80s before the internet. And it's just as true today as it was then. If you take care of your people, they will take care of you.
I love that. I love that, making sure that you've got a way to keep those early adopters feeling like they're
Hmm.
being treated like the early adopters, that they're getting that special privilege that comes
Yeah.
from the people who come in. And like in software, I have a little bit of a software background, and your beta testers and your alpha testers, they like to feel like they are getting something really cool and really special.
Right.
And so making sure that you
And
treat those first people like those beta testers and alpha testers.
yes. Yes, and that's a resource that you can't pay for. You've got a built-in focus group here. Let them name a character. Oh my goodness, they will go nuts for that. If you say in one of your newsletters, hey, I'm building in a new character. I think it's going to be this, this, and this. What do y'all think? And I'll just throw some names at me, and whoever's name I pick, I'll give a $10 Amazon card for a book of your choice, so, or, find a way to bring them in, use them as your focus group, and take their opinions for what they're worth. The other thing is you need to ask them, and I've talked about this on my podcast, Authorpreneurs Unleashed, but use that group as your focus group. Once a year, send out a survey. Hey, what social media platform are you currently most active on, for fun or for business? Because those are two different things. For fun, I go to one place. For marketing, I know the statistics, I'm going someplace else. So ask them specifically, where are you up for business? Where are you for fun? Ask them, what do you like in the email that comes out? Is it coming out too often, just right, not often enough? Would you like to see other things addressed? And make it, no more than 10 questions, but ask some things that you can use to improve what you're doing. Because none of us are working in a vacuum here, right? If you've got 100 fans who will respond to you, in marketing research, and I spent years working for an international market research company with Fortune 500 and Fortune 100 companies. The rule of thumb is, if you get a sample size of 300 respondents, that is statistically significant and can be extrapolated to the entire population. So that's all you need. If you can build your email list to 300 consistent, not only opens and click-throughs, but also responses, you have won the whole marketing game right there.
That's awesome. That's a good number to set as the goal, because I know right now I'm still under 100. And so that, not knowing, like, is that a good number? Is it a bad number? Is it like, but knowing to
100 engaged is brilliant. 100 not opening, I mean, just because they're on your list doesn't make it useful. And that's another thing, because email marketing is so important. I'd love to have a whole episode about email marketing, and you can do that on my podcast. But one thing, I think there's still this pervasive rumor myth that you need 10,000 followers. That is not true. Do not worry about that. Do not buy followers. Do not do engagement pods. Do not do trades. Do not do any of that stuff, because it screws up the algorithm and you will never get what you need. The other thing you need to know is that both social media, blogging, email, all of this, your engagement is a factor of your number of followers. So for example, likes, however many likes, shares, saves, comments, all of that, add that number up and then divide it by your number of followers. That is your engagement rate. Okay. If your engagement rate is low, your social media posts will never be pushed out to a bigger reach. And your email list, because whatever email platform you're using, MailChimp, MailerLite, Constant Contact, whatever, all of those are keeping up with those engagement lists and or engagement rates, and that determines a lot of how they handle your data. So you really need to be aware of that. That being said, cull your list. So many people are so afraid, but I just got 1,000 followers. Well, it doesn't matter if 900 of them aren't active and never engage with you. That's hurting your reach, not helping. So you want to make sure, and I go through once a month as part of my monthly routine. I go through my email list. If they have not opened an email from me in the last 90 days, I delete them. They're off my list. Same with social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. If they have not engaged with me and you can see the last time they engaged with you, delete them. And right now there's an issue, and romance writers are feeling it harder. The clients I've had that write romance, they get a lot of like OnlyFans or guys from other countries that want to build a relationship. Okay, so when you decide who to call, you need to look, and these guys I take off immediately. So if they don't have an obvious real name, if they don't have a picture, if they have a series of numbers in their handle, if you look and you can just move your mouse and rest your mouse on them, and you can see how many followers to following they have. If they're following 1,000 people and they've only got 5 followers, they're phishing. get rid of them. They will never engage with you, and you really don't want to waste your time with that. And the other thing is, you don't, like you said, there's scalping pictures. So you can go in and you can look at people's follower lists on Instagram or Twitter or whatever, and that's what they do, right? So part of them, some of them are bots. Some of them are hackers from other countries. I've had an episode with cybersecurity people talking about that on Entrepreneurs Unleashed. So this is a really common thing. And when you think of it, a lot of these nations are so poor that somebody has time to spend 8 hours, fishing. And even if they only catch one, that's a month's salary for them. So it's really kind of sad, and now they've automated it, so there's bots doing it, and you can get caught easily on that. But look and see, and also consider who you follow, right? So I tend to lean a little politically conservative. I am rather evangelical Christian. I post a lot about medical issues because that's one of my platform things, invisible disabilities. I'm part of the service dog community. So these things people can find pretty easy about me. So guess who's targeting me when I get those pictures? It's medical people, doctors, it's dog lovers, it's, conservative political figures, all this stuff. And it's like, no, I know that person isn't going around collecting, people like me to follow. So yeah, use some common sense, but seriously, the whole thing here is do not be afraid to call all of your lists, because your engagement is the most important thing, not your followers. Your followers do not pay your rent. Your engagement will definitely contribute to the final conversion numbers. So if you can follow your engagement, when you're looking at what analytics to follow across the board, you want to be looking at your engagement. Also with your emails, used to be you could see open rates. That because of how Apple has changed their privacy rules with the iOS, as well as some of the other platforms now, they are not reporting those open rates anymore. So it's vitally important, both for blogging and emailing, that you put links for people to click through. So give them a teaser, and then for more information, go here. And have those backlinked to your own website or your own social media so you can see where people are coming from and going to. But your click-through rates are the most accurate number in your email statistics. So you definitely want to be watching your click-through rates, because that gives you useful information. Number one, it tells you what your audience is interested in and what they're clicking on, so you can give them more of that. It also shows what they're not clicking on, so you can not waste time with that. And percentages, and that also, so we're getting better demographics from like Instagram and YouTube. If you have a YouTube account, I encourage everybody to have a YouTube account. You can put your short reels or TikToks on the same on YouTube Shorts, and honestly, it gives you much better analytics than any other platform, and it also is Google searchable and part of the Google Analytics 4 package. So if you're not taking advantage of YouTube, even if you don't want to be a YouTuber, have something, a book review or something, of service to the reader community, because that's your target audience is readers, right? So do something that's in service to the reader community on your YouTube, and start building that community. I also love that they've introduced the community feature on YouTube, where you can use it like a social media, Twitter or Instagram type platform. I think that's brilliant. YouTube is the highest converting platform of all the social media platforms. I know technically it's not a social media platform, but it is the highest converting. So it's interesting because, again, YouTube and video marketing still comes, and podcasting also comes in way lower on drivers of revenue than blogging does. Blogging is still a much higher driver of revenue. But I think if you consider YouTube and podcasting as a way to drive people to your email list or to drive people to your blog, that is smart.
That's awesome. I hadn't thought of taking the reels that I've been making for Instagram and cross posting them on YouTube
Mhm.
Shorts. That's a really great idea.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so when I'm coaching my clients on how to do those short form videos, I always say don't do them in the channel. So use your phone. Your phone is such a weapon. Use your phone and go ahead and record however you want to record it. You can edit it on your phone or you can edit it on a separate platform. I have a video editor because that's the joy of having a marketing firm, right? So a lot of, and you have to be careful because there's a fine line, right? The statistics are showing that it's those fast, informal, talk to camera, personal things that are getting the most engagement, right? It's not the trending things. Don't worry about the trending stuff. Your job is to build a relationship with your audience. So if you do that, so half of my stuff is very informal, pick up the camera, talk, or here's, kind of clips from a day of my life. I do a lot of times, I'll take pictures throughout the day and then I'll string them together as a video with music and fun transitions and some text on screen. Done, right? So do things like that. And then maybe once every 5 or 6, I'll send it over to my editor and go, okay, here's all my stuff, make it fancy. And we throw that out. Now, the reason I do that for my purposes is I want my clients, potential clients, to see that I have that capability. I can do that. But I also know that it's not going to perform as well as some of the others. So again, every audience is different and every creator is different. So you need to experiment. And this is why it's so daggum important to watch your analytics. See what works, see what doesn't work. And everything you do, give it a 3-month experiment, right? Because just doing it one time isn't going to give you the data you need. So if you want to experiment with Reels, you need to commit to 3 months of experimenting with Reels. And if you want to compare Reels to TikTok to Shorts, you need to spend 3 months and post everything and see. And what I found with both me and my clients is that we can post the exact same reel to all of it, or the same short form video to all 3 platforms, and we'll get different level of engagements because each audience is different and the audience expectations are different. So just because it works on TikTok doesn't mean it's going to work elsewhere. And just because it flopped one place, it might blow up another place. So again, the more data you have, the better choices you can make. And if your YouTube audience is converting better than your TikTok audience, well, you want to make more of that. And then as an afterthought, throw it on the other platforms. But figure out where your conversions are coming up, figure out where your email subscribers are coming from, and then figure out what those audiences want most.
I love that. I have noticed that there have been a lot of groups that have started to do this with podcasts. That YouTube came out with YouTube podcasts. They shifted away from
Yes.
Google Podcasts.
Yes.
And I
Google
listened to,
Podcast is no more.
yeah, and I listened to several podcasters that were like, "Oh yeah, we threw it up on YouTube just to see what happened." And they all talked about that their growth grew
Mhm.
immensely. And I
Yeah.
think, like what
Yeah.
you said, a big part of that is because Google has that ability to, it's owned by Google. YouTube is owned by
Right.
Google. And so you
Yeah. That's
immediately get
another
that
thing.
SEO boost.
Yeah. So Google is the largest search engine in the world, and it owns and runs YouTube, which is the second largest search engine in the world. So as you're thinking about YouTube content, you want to have a happy mix of how to and explainer type videos that people are going to search for because they have a problem and they need an answer. But it needs to be a mix, because if you only do that, you're not going to build an audience or a community, right? You're just going to have people coming for, I need an answer to this question. So you want to have a healthy mix of maybe vlog style posts, or day in the lifetime things, behind the scenes thing, talking, getting to know you, happy hour type things, whatever vibes for your brand. But make sure you don't get in the trap of only doing the explainer or the how-tos. Now, those are going to get the best hits right away, but do they get the best subscribers? No. People don't subscribe as highly for those as they do for the getting to know you, building a relationship type video.
And I think that's a big thing too to remember, especially as you hit that beginning author stage where you have something out and you're working towards getting more books out, is you're trying to build relationships. This isn't just a
Mhm.
situation of, hey, I have a product, come buy my product.
Yeah.
People love
Yeah.
books and they
And
love to get to know the person behind the book.
what are you reading and writing? And shout out your favorite authors. And yeah, that's so very important. The other thing that I don't think authors are spending enough thought or effort on is engaging on other people's platforms, right? You need to find, and you and I have done this, right? I engage on your platform, you engage on my platform. This is how we became friends, and then found ways to collaborate. But you build relationships in the DMs as well as in the comments. So even if you aren't ready to start creating content, putting videos or podcasts or a blog out there, you definitely need to see who has your target audience already. If you're a romance writer, don't go for the best-selling romance writer and trying to engage with their audience. Find somebody in that happy medium that's truly niched to where you want to be. You know, your book that just came out is the serpents, and it's the sea quest, right? Romance. So you would want to find another author that's writing in that niche, that is more established than you are, that has an engaged community. There's the key, an engaged community. And then you become part of that community and your name starts getting recognized because you're one of the first commenters on their content, or you're adding value. You know, if they ask for, and a smart thing, a lot of YouTubers will ask, you know, here's my experience in the comments, tell me what your experience or what tips or tricks you have. You want to be commenting on those. You want their audience to see your name and all of that. And if they like what you're posting, they can click on your name and they can see your stuff, right? So create that YouTube channel, if for no other reason as you can put your links there and you can direct people to your website, to your newsletter sign up, to your other social media platforms that you are active on. You don't have to be posting on YouTube to have a YouTube channel. And I think a lot of people are unaware of that. But you will have, and in Instagram, because I think Instagram it just needs to be mined for gold. They have so many good things going on right now. If you're on nothing else, I would prioritize YouTube and Instagram. And again, this advice may change next year. If you heard me talk last year, I probably said something different. But right now, those are the best performing and converting platforms. But in Instagram, they not only look at what you post as far as reels and carousels and static, but their engagement also is driven from your DMs. So if you are DMing with somebody, you will be more likely to see their posts when they come up on your feed, and they will be more likely to see your posts on your feed. DMs are prioritized because Instagram believes, oh, there is an actual relationship there. We need to make sure they're seeing each other's stuff. So don't forget to DM people, even if it's just a, hey, I love this post you put out. Here's why, and start a conversation. So on my social media, if you go check it, I've been really inactive for the last probably 3 to 6 months on a lot of platforms because, well, I've been in transition. We just moved out of state. So that's part of it. And then I got COVID the week I moved, and I'm just getting over the flu and all the things. So there's life there, but it's also been strategic, right? Because I'm posting as my clients. So not only am I getting data from what I'm posting, I'm getting data from what I'm doing for my clients, and I've been prioritizing my client work rather than my own at this point. But also I've been doing a lot of commenting and a lot of DMing, and my engagement rate for what I post is going up because I think of the comments and the DMs, and that works on Twitter, that works on Instagram. Facebook's making a resurgence. This time last year, I was saying I didn't care if I ever posted on Facebook again, and I just kind of copied whatever I did elsewhere onto Facebook. Facebook is starting to have a little more life in it. They've made a lot of changes in their algorithm as well. So I have hope But again, I still feel like Facebook's a calling card. It's not my focus. LinkedIn is an untapped resource for authors. If you're not on LinkedIn and your audience is professional and educated, you better be on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is not just a resume platform. A lot of people think it's just about that. It's not. It's so not. There are groups, there are writers groups, there are reading groups, there are so many resources on LinkedIn that are not being tapped. But if your audience is predominantly professional, wealthy, travelers, and educated, that's the platform you want to be on because their demographics shine in all of those areas way above the other platform.
Oh, that's awesome. I know that I have family members who work in technology and security, and for them, like the cybersecurity space is a huge space on LinkedIn. And that, like, they have blogs that they run on LinkedIn. They have, and that's their main platform.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they might copy it to other places,
Mm-hmm.
but the main place that they're reaching their audience is on LinkedIn. And so, yeah, if you're a nonfiction writer,
Yeah.
that is the place to be, man.
Fiction and nonfiction, it doesn't matter. So, my best friend's husband is in cybersecurity. He actually consults with the FBI in their cybersecurity when they can't solve things. They call him. But I've had the opportunity, and that's the only platform he's active on for his business. And so it's really interesting because I'm a nerd. I'm happy to confess. I like technology. I like numbers. I don't do numbers well, but thank goodness there's computer tools, right? So, but it's really nice when I have a question for one of my characters I'm writing about. And again, I tend to have themes of anti-human trafficking or domestic violence or chronic illness, these kind of things. It's amazing. I can put questions out and doctors on LinkedIn will respond, and Twitter too. There's a lot of professionals on Twitter. And I'll put out just random questions. And I always crouch it with, hey, I'm a writer. I have a situation in my book. Can somebody give me direction? And I always ask for direction. And it's amazing how many conversations, at the time, this was years ago, but he was head of neurology at Cleveland Clinic. He answered me. I didn't know who he was, but he answered me, and the conversation moved into the Twitter DMs, and he's given me all this advice, and I'm thinking, dude, I haven't heard this from anybody else. This can't be right, you know? And so I Googled him, and I found out, holy crap, this guy knows his stuff.
Yes, this
And
is right.
but he was a reader and he was interested, and this was, a break from his day job, but yet his day job could be useful. So it was really interesting having that conversation. And then fast forward a couple of years, I had a really bad MRI, and I know your audience doesn't know, but I have chronic strokes, and so I had a bad MRI. They thought I had an aneurysm. They didn't. In my local doctors weren't sure what to do with me. Well, because I had this whole list of medical professionals I'd been DMing with, I sent out messages to the head at Cleveland Clinic and the, person at Mayo and all these people that I'd gotten to know through advocacy work with the migraine community. And they were all like, yeah, here's who you need to call. Here's what you need to do. Here's the words you need to tell your insurance company to get it covered. And it was like, oh my goodness, I could not have paid for all of these appointments with these professionals, but I had a relationship. So think about, again, it's about relationships and it's about building a community and a network. Don't look at it as sales and what can they do for me and selling this current book. Because if you're only focused on this book, then you got to start the process all over with your next book. If you build a community and relationships, that core group is going to be with you your whole author career.
I love that. We're going to stop the interview right here. We're going to finish the rest of Kathryn's interview next week. And next week, she's going to talk all about paid advertising and how that can help move your career up to that next step. We're not going to talk about Amazon ads, which I love as a wide author because I want to reach as many people as possible and I don't want to rely on Amazon to do it. So being able to see different ways to advertise, we talk a little bit about newsletter marketing and what to look for if you are looking to do that. And then we also talk about paid marketing in other ways that aren't just sending people to your latest release. And I loved everything she talked about. I hope you'll join us next week. If you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. I post videos on Wednesdays about cover design, discovery writing, and self-publishing on a shoestring budget. I hope to see you again soon.